Hey everybody, how y'all doing today? Hold on one second. Oops, zoomed in a little too much there. Zoom out just a little bit. There we go. Got some cool stuff to talk about today, so I hope y'all are doing well. Some neat things happening this week, and I just wanted to give y'all an update about everything that's been going on. Okay, so let's see. First thing, I had a cool interview this week. I interviewed Allan Alcorn of Atari. He was technically their first employee. Well, I guess employee number 3, but first employee there. And he was the guy who created Pong. Really, really cool interview. Really cool chance to be able to talk to him and just hear basically, how he got interested in tech. Got to hear how he was hired, what they offered him. Really cool, just down to earth guy. Really great conversation. I had a lot of fun talking to him. I have fun talking to anyone about technology stuff. Just I'm always first of all, I'm fascinated about his career and everything he's done. But just to be able to talk to someone who knows about tech and is interested in it and loves it as much as I do is really cool, super fun to talk to. He was very responsive, really cool guy, just seemed really down to earth. I think those guys, him and all those guys who, basically started all the cool stuff that I'm using now, they were the ones who broke ground on it. We're just improving on it. For the most part, they broke the ground. So it's really cool to talk to them and hear just what they've done. I got to show him an old Atari system. Let me show this, maybe get this in better light here. An old Pong system. This is actually one of the, it doesn't work because if you look at the bottom, it's like all torn up. But this is actually the second version of Pong, the home system. So back then, when they first created the home edition, they didn't have cartridges. This was like you actually bought like a whole big thing. I also have a pinball one of these as well. These are actually my father-in-law's. We found these in his basement. Super cool. This is just awesome because when I first got Pong on the Atari, it was a cartridge that I put in. But yeah, he invented this, which is just awesome. And it's interesting to look at this. So this was in 1976, which is the first year they released the home version, and this was the second edition, which is awesome. I have all kinds of cool, weird stuff in my office all the time. But, looking at this and talking to him just reminded me so much of my childhood and all the cool stuff that I used to do back then, and how all the games that had an influence on me back then, just to think about them and talk about them a little bit. Think about all the cool games I used to play. I've talked about my game as a kid was always adventure. That was one of the first games I remember playing. Actually, I definitely know Pong was the first video game I probably ever played at my cousin's house, and it's funny. I saw a post by Alienware the other day, a Twitter tweet, and it was like, still a legend, changed my mind. And it's true. The game will hold up the test of time. It is the most basic game in the world, yet still fun because it was so basic, makes it also relevant today as a fun game. Which is just awesome. That just shows the brilliance of it, that it's just literally two paddles hitting a ball, yet it's such a cool game because of that. Can be competitive and everything today, even super cool. So I love seeing that, and just seeing how, I was talking about adventure, just how all those games really shaped my interest in video games and helped lead me to where I am today. So for you parents out there that are, unsure about your kids doing this stuff, maybe you don't want them to be like me, but, I'm a college professor, I have a Ph.D, and I get to talk about video games all day long. Well, not really, but not really get to talk about them all day long. But it's pretty cool, and it's definitely a career path, especially if they're talking about programming and game design. person that I interviewed, Allan Alcorn, he was an electrical engineer and programmer. So just getting into that stuff, there's all kinds of really cool avenues to get into when you're interested in it. And I was talking to a group, presenting to a group yesterday about esports, and one of the things I told them is how an interest in gaming increases students' interest in STEM, which is, science, technology, engineering, and mathematics fields. And it's so true. In fact, one of the things I mentioned to them is if you look at interviews from any of the big tech CEOs, by any, Bill Gates, Steve Jobs, guy who started Tesla, any of those guys, guess what guess what they say led them to their career, what they attribute their interest in technology to, all from video games. So any of those guys, Bill Gates, Steve Jobs, any of the big names in tech, founder of Tesla, Google, any of those guys, you look at their background and listen to interviews with them and find out what interested you, what got you interested in tech, what sparked this interest, this curiosity, and every single one of them says video games. So, if you have little kids and they're interested in video games, it actually can lead to some really cool things, and it's a nice habit. It's not a bad thing. And as with anything, video games, you can play them too much. You can also do everything too much. A little bit of sunshine's good for you, but you can stay outside too long. Water's good for you, but you can drink too much and it'll make you sick. You can't do it too much. So it's all about moderation. I talked about this before, but transitioning to, I told you I was talking to a group about esports. So I believe I got an email from someone on my campus today that my esports website is actually probably going to launch today, which is super awesome. So I've talked about this over the last few weeks, but basically what we've done is we have, my foot's like hitting something down here. Basically what we've done is we have created an actual UNCW esports website that compiles all the components of esports at UNCW, which are our curriculum, our teams, our competitions, our partners, people that we're working with, my club, everything that we've been doing. And it really combines all of that into one. We have a home for it now on campus. Well, a virtual home for it, because we don't have a space yet. That's next step after this website is published. But I think that it's pretty cool that it's going to be published today. I've been eagerly anticipating this. And to go with that, one of the things that I talked about 2 weeks ago was that I had this photo shoot and we did a video interview about esports at UNCW. And this is actually going to be airing on the news tomorrow night. And this website that we're launching today is the URL for it's going to be there, which is kind of cool. So I'm really excited about that. I'm excited to see the site launch and just excited for it. One of the other things, last gaming thing I want to talk about is, for those of you trying to order the Xbox, I've heard it was sold out yesterday. I'm totally not trying to order the new Xbox or PlayStation, mostly because I'm a PC gamer, and Microsoft has pretty much stated that all their latest hits and everything are going to be coming out on PC. So I'm going to be sticking with PC. And someone can say, well, I don't have a good enough PC, should I get the Xbox? And I would say absolutely. The reason why, the great thing about something like the Xbox is that every game on it works well for the system, where for a PC, I have a really high-end PC, so I know the games are going to work on my machine, but if you don't, the Xbox is so cheap that it's pretty much makes it worth it. I mean, it's so cheap compared to buying an Alienware machine. So I do see the draw in it. So I do think they're kind of cool. I'm excited to see that they did really well, that people were scrambling to get one. Y'all are going to get one eventually. So, my big thing would be trying to get it before Halo Infinite comes out, which is not coming out this year. So no rush. Maybe I'll end up picking one up eventually. But for now, sticking with the PC. Okay, it's the last gaming thing. So the other thing I wanted to talk about, so I've been having some issues with Zoom video. And basically what's happening is So here's the first problem. So you can see, I actually, in the beginning of this video, you got to see, let me pull this over. You see my green screen a little bit? I'm not messing up my whole setup here just to show you guys, but I have this green screen right here next to me that when I'm on Zoom, I've been using the green screen to basically hide my background and show like whatever I feel like showing for that meeting. The problem is whenever I use Zoom virtual backgrounds, their virtual backgrounds are like, it won't get my chair and it messes up with like my headphones and like everything else, and it's pretty crummy. So I've been using a green screen, and I say to Zoom, like, use my green screen. Well, I realize when Zoom does that, it doesn't do a great job because Zoom doesn't allow you to really control your camera too much. The settings are actually pretty terrible. And so I'm having this issue that Zoom has terrible settings. So what I've had to do is I'm using a third-party software to do it. Now, this third-party software, shoots in HD because Zoom's HD is terrible. And so I'm allowed to shoot HD, I can zoom, I can do whatever I want, right? So awesome, we're all hunky-dory, this is working perfect. No. This is totally not what happens. It's not perfect. The video quality is excellent, I love it, but for some odd reason, like 50% of the time I'm getting lag. So like let me give you an example of what that means. So, hello? That was terrible. That was a terrible example. Let's do that again. Let's just imagine with my hands over my mouth that I'm not talking. Hello? So basically, okay, that was really bad. But basically what's happening is there's like this offset of time between my video and what I'm in real life. So the lag is not like 0.2 second. There's always some kind of lag. It's like the lag is like 4 seconds. So like you see me move my hand and it actually shows me moving my hand 4 seconds later. Well, that's really bad with your mouth. It's like watching a movie where the voice, video, and audio don't match up. I find that resetting the video corrects it, and then it like goes back to it. So something is up with Zoom. It just drives their video settings. They need to fix them. If they could fix their video settings, I really think it would be a much better piece of software. But for now, they're pretty crummy. So give them a big thumbs down for that. Like, fix that stuff. Come on, let me zoom in on my video. Let me configure it. Let me actually shoot in high def. You know, that's my biggest complaint. So anyway, those are all my tech updates. Talked about my interview, talked about some Atari stuff, my esports website, and the Zoom. I hope to be setting up some other interviews soon. So I got to work on scheduling them. I've got some cool ideas for interviews, and I really got to work on that, get it set up. I'm not rushing them, you know, because I'm super busy with work right now, but I wanted to interview some other cool people. Like, I love talking to these people. It's awesome. But man, it's a lot of work prepping for one of those interviews. I spent many hours over the last week prepping for Monday's interview. It was a lot. Tons of work. Fun. Cool to talk to someone like that, but man, it's a lot of work on my end. So anyway, let's get into some personal stuff. So first thing I want to talk about. So I told you guys last week that it was my wife's birthday this week. So what I did, and I didn't want to tell you what I was doing for her because it was a surprise. I didn't want to ruin it. So basically what I did is I asked every one of her like friends, family. I'm sure I missed people. So if you're watching this and I missed you, I'm totally sorry. I did the best I could. I'm terrible at doing this kind of stuff. So absolutely terrible. So I went through and I messaged a bunch of people and I said, hey, I'm going to create, and since we're like in quarantine still, like we're not going out and seeing a bunch of people, I said, look, I'm going to create a video because I can create videos. I'm good at this. I said, I want all of you guys to create a video, say happy birthday to her, and then send it to me. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to compile all of that onto, you know, like a video and publish it privately to some cloud somewhere, and so that she has access to it, and so that she can see it. So basically, I built this video for her. It was pretty cool. It didn't take me long to actually do all the editing and compile it and compress it and put it all together. What did take a long time was getting all the videos from everyone. Because what I realized is what I think is a really simple project, like just create a video on your phone and talk into it, is not for other people. For some reasons, like, first of all, people, maybe they don't use a lot of video on their phones, so they're not sure how to do it. It is kind of challenging to send video from your phone. Like, sometimes your phone will give you messages like too much, the video's too large and stuff like that, because some people did want to talk and say things to her. So that presents a challenge. But the other thing I didn't think about is people wanted to use filters. They wanted to look good in the video and stuff. Like, I didn't really think about all those things that go into it, so that made it a little more challenging. I'm like troubleshooting with some people, you know, people are a little nervous about it, or people are just nervous about their privacy, like what is this going to be used for, and not really. I mean, everyone got like, look, I'm not putting this like for public, like you're not going to see this and stuff like that unless like you know my wife and she sends you the link for the private access kind of thing. And it's not big deal, it's not bad or anything, but just there's a bunch of people saying happy birthday to her on it. So anyway, it was a good surprise. She liked it. I did good. I tried to be a little funny in the video, like doing some goofy stuff. I did like the old, like, I feel like 1970s like kids cartoon trick where like I just like appeared and the screen's all black but you can only see me, and I'm like, how did I get in this space? Why am I in this box? Kind of thing. I don't know if she thought that was funny. The boys thought it was really funny. I don't know. The kids thought it was funny. It was like I was in outer space all of a sudden. Like, it's just me appearing. And, like, there's nothing behind me. I'm in, like, this endless, like, time kind of scenario, but kind of funny. Anyway. So, other things, personal stuff. I got to surf today. I've not surfed for a long time. This is actually kind of a downer. So I finally admitted that maybe I'm getting older and heavier and I totally need a bigger surfboard. I've just realized over the last like 2 years, every time I go out and I bring my shortboards, I don't really have a good time. The paddle's a pretty big challenge. There's lots of water moving and it's not fun. So I've really realized that I am getting older and I weigh more than I did like when I bought my surfboards 15 years ago. So I'm in the process of kind of looking for some bigger boards, give me some better options, which I think will make me have a lot more fun in the water and it'll be good. So anyway, that's about all that's going on for me. Oh, another cool thing. So my kids started Cub Scouts again. So we're doing like all outside stuff. And lo and behold, my youngest is the only lion. So what does that mean? Guess who's Cub Master for the Lions, at least for his group. It should be pretty easy because it's just him, but there probably will be other kids that join up, so I gotta like deal with that now. That'll be kind of cool. We went on this hike Monday night, which was kind of fun. The boys got to hike. It was neat. It was a nice thing to do, and yeah, pretty cool. So anyway, geez, today's Wednesday already? Man. So a lot of stuff happening. So we'll see if I make it on again this week. I've just been super busy with meetings and stuff like that. I had the interview, had a lot of meetings this week, lots of stuff I'm working on. So anyway, that's it, y'all. That's everything. That's it for today. So I'm done.